Good evening, everyone. It is the evening of July 7th, 2021, and we're here in Lee, Illinois. This scene looks familiar. This is where I shot probably the greatest horn audio I've ever recorded in my life. That was when BNSF 8026 came through here exactly a year ago tonight. So here's the backstory on that catch. It was the afternoon of July 6th of 2020 that I got word from my buddy Tom Anderson up in Minnesota that there was a Z train coming with BNSF 8026 leading. And of course it's got its K5HLB. So naturally, of course, I wanted to catch it. It went through St. Cloud, Minnesota at about, I say 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And so I figured it was going to take quite a while to get down here. So I didn't head out to the Aurora sub immediately. I spent that day rail fanning in Chicago Heights, and that night I decided to make a late night trip to the Aurora in case he came very quickly, because it was a Z train, ZPTL CHC to be exact, Portland, Chicago, Cicero. So first started the night down that way in Waterman, and then advanced to Shabana, catching a couple trains on the way. And then eventually found myself here in Lee. Now, I decided to choose Lee mainly because of the 4 crossings here in town. There's one right there, and then there's 3 just north of here. And I figured I'd get some good Doppler on that, and then come over here. See, basically you can see those big grain elevators up there. I figured that would provide some pretty good echoes. Now, originally I wasn't planning on this spot because you can't really see the trains that well. I was originally planning to go up a little further in town where you can see 2 of the crossings easily. But as the night progressed, the train wasn't coming. And morning came around and there was still no sign of him. There were a bunch of eastbounds coming, and so I'd hoped that one of those would be 8026. But the day continued and still no sign of him. And at this point I was getting incredibly tired because I did not sleep at all that night, because I cannot sleep standing upright in a car. You know, I can't sleep in that thing for my life, no matter how tired I am. So I basically pulled an all-nighter on the 6th. And actually at one point I did go up to Rochelle as well, because there was no action coming on the Aurora. Only caught 1 UP train there, but oh well, better than nothing. But then I came back down to Lee as soon as I saw some eastbounds coming on ATCS. And again, still nothing. I think about 2 o'clock rolled around and there were not any more eastbounds seen on ATCS, so made a last minute decision to get a hotel up in Rochelle. And basically spent a few hours there, resting up, taking a nap, and came back out around 5 o'clock. When eastbounds were starting to get lined back up on the Aurora. And I think 1 came through, but then a bunch of others were held up by Polo, and I was getting incredibly upset by this point because I've been waiting like 18 hours at this point, and there was still no sign of 8026. Actually, by that point I did contact one of my BNSF friends who was able to track it, and he said it was sitting up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so that's why it was taking so long, which made no sense to me because it was a Z train, so you figured that thing would want to get down here as quickly as possible. But anywho, continued to wait. Finally, the train up at Polo cleared up after like 2 hours of blocking the main line, and there was like a group of 3 eastbounds coming, and first one came through. I believe it was a ethanol train, or no, it was a mixed freight, and so obviously it wasn't it. I was watching Rochelle cam too, trying to see if I could tell if it was it or not. Second train went by the Rochelle camera. It was a grain train with 4 engines. I was like, nope, that's not going to be it. And then this was like 11 p.m. at this point, so I had been waiting a long time. And finally, and then the third train was approaching Rochelle. and there was nothing else behind it. So at this point, I was just beyond frustrated waiting. I was incredibly tired. It was hot out that day. So I figured if this train wasn't going to be it, I would go back to the hotel again, rest up for a few hours, and start the whole cycle over again. The train goes by the Rochelle Cam. I see it has 2 engines, and it looks like an intermodal. And that's what the Z train was. That was coming. So at this point I started to get hope again that it was 8026. And I came back to this spot and waited. And up in the distance, in Stewart, I could hear him from like 5 miles away. And this time it was 8026. So now my mood changes completely. Now I'm excited. So I set up the camera super early and let it record for, I think it let it record for about 16 minutes total. And basically what you see in the video is, I think I left it right up here. You can see the shed right here. That's the main building. And you can see the edge of this building. And I'm looking up this way towards the grain elevator and towards the main line over there. You can barely see the tracks there. And then I went over here and sat on that picnic table over there. And by the way, Model 7 siren right there did not go off on first Tuesday, which I was very upset about. That's the other thing that happened on that day that I was upset about, was it was first Tuesday, so I tried to do this siren, but it was a no-go. So, understandably, I was not happy about that. So, but anyways, the train was approaching, and it sounded really good in the distance, and the wind was carrying from the north, but for some reason, after we passed Herman Road, which is about a mile north of here, the train got really quiet coming into town. So I figured like the first little bit of audio of him crossing County Line Road up there was going to be super quiet. And so as he entered town, he blew his horn for the crossing. Again, it was kind of a quiet blast. I was like, all right. A few seconds passed by, and then all of a sudden, the horn starts echoing off every single direction around here. Like I could hear it from that way, just off the buildings here in town. And that first echo there is basically what I've been using in my intros for the last several months. And I know the video doesn't quite do it justice, but let me tell you something. That echo right there was one of the best things I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, you had to be here in person to really hear how it sounded. It's just insane how how creepy and ominous and just amazing that echo sounded. And the next few blasts were definitely just as good. And kept echoing through town. And then he echoed 2 off those grain elevators, which I expected. And finally passed through here, and I was just left in absolute amazement at how awesome that thing sounded. Like, I know I'm foaming right now, but holy crap. There's a reason I consider that my best horn catch ever. Maybe as far as like the actual video itself as far as the actual video came out, maybe it's not my best. I can acknowledge that, but as far as like the in-person experience, just nothing else tops that. And hopefully tonight I can record some horns echoing from here, but unfortunately there's been no eastbounds coming for quite a while. But I'm going to stick around here for a few hours anyways, just to see if anything comes through. There's been a Q train sitting up by Rochelle for several hours now, So if they get him recruited soon, we'll get that. But yeah, hard to believe it's been a year ago since that amazing night. Well, at least that one moment. The rest of the day was kind of infuriating, but once that came through, that made it all better. So if at any point you ever want to hear a K5HLB, come here. At least if it's going to be on this line. Come here at night. It is one of the best experiences you will ever have listening to an air horn. It certainly was for me. And it's certainly a memory I'm never going to forget. So anyways, enough of me foaming. I just wanted to talk about my catch from a year ago. So have a good day, y'all.